Somebody wrote this down and served it with pride. And if you think this is a joke, do not blink, because this is a real American party recipe. And it looks like a dare from the past. Right here, ham, banana, hollandaise, 3 normal things, 1 suspicious plan. And the first time you see them together, your brain instantly says, that cannot be right. But your curiosity says, keep watching, because somebody once looked at this and said, yes, bring it to the table. Now do not laugh yet. Look at it like it is 1957. Warm kitchen light, good clothes, guests coming over, and this dish is not weird. It is company, it is confidence. It is the kind of thing that sits in the center like it belongs. And that is what makes it unsettling, because it is not trying to hide. This was a trend, printed, passed around, repeated, because back then, if it was on a card, it was real, and if it was real, people cooked it, in real kitchens, for real guests. And here is the question that should bother you. Who made America eat this? Who looked at ham and bananas and said, add sauce, and call it modern? And somewhere in the middle of all that comfort, this thing appears. Like the funniest villain at the party, and the rule was simple. Party food had one job: look modern. Make the table feel full. Make the host look like they had it all under control. Some dishes weren't created to shock anyone. They were made to belong to a time when recipes didn't explain themselves. They simply existed. Banana ham rolls are one of those dishes. On paper, they sound wrong. In memory, they feel oddly familiar. They showed up on tables without irony, without commentary, just quietly taking their place among the deviled eggs and gelatin salads of another era. Nothing about it is complicated. A banana, a slice of ham, a single, unapologetic swipe of mustard, a blanket of sauce that looks far too elegant for what it's covering. There's no remix here, no attempt to improve it. The recipe moves with confidence, the kind that comes from a time when people cooked from habit, not from opinions. Everything is done by hand, slowly. The wrap, the soft placement on the tray. 1. Deliberate motion, not 10. It's the rhythm of old kitchens, where food wasn't content and no one needed reassurance that it made sense. Then the heat takes over. As the oven warms, the banana changes, and the room fills with a smell you don't expect. Warm, savory, slightly sweet. Familiar in a way that bypasses logic. Before you even see it, that smell does the work. It pulls you back to family gatherings, handwritten recipe cards, and dishes that never ask to be defriended. This is the moment where retro recipes usually fail. But this one doesn't. Because it was never trying to impress you. It just assumed you would trust it the way people once did. And sometimes, that's all a dish needs. Back then, this dish did not feel weird. It felt modern. To get it, you have to step into a mid-century American kitchen. Because modern meant something different. Modern meant easier. Modern meant faster. Modern meant you could put food on the table and still look put together. A lot of families were hosting at home. Neighbors stopped by without warning. Someone brought a pie. Kids ran through the living room, and the kitchen was the stage. The goal was not just dinner, it was showing you could handle it. So shortcuts were not shameful. They were the point. A mix, a can, a packet, a jar. Those things were like little trophies. They said you were keeping up. They said your home was current, like you were living in tomorrow. And think about the tools people were excited about. New appliances, new cookware, a bigger refrigerator, a bright oven light. Even the sound of a timer meant something. It meant you were doing it the modern way. That is why recipes like this spread. They were simple on purpose. Few steps, easy ingredients, and a big result on the table. Now add the party culture. In that era, a lot of food was built for entertaining. You wanted dishes you could make ahead. Dishes that traveled well. Dishes that looked neat in a glass pan, because presentation mattered. Then comes the sauce culture. Sauce was status. Sauce was the magic trick. A creamy topping could turn almost anything into company food. It covered mistakes, it added shine. It made the whole dish look finished. So when you see ham and bananas with hollandaise, do not think prank, think confidence. Sweet and salty together was not crazy to them. It was exciting. It was different. It made the table feel fun. And hollandaise, or any buttery sauce like it, did a lot of work. It made it feel rich. It made it feel special. It connected the flavors, so it tasted like one idea, not 3 random things. Also, a dish like this gave you something that mattered at a party. A moment. Someone sees it and pauses. Wait, what is that? Then people laugh. Then they lean in. Then they start talking. And suddenly, your dish is the story of the night. That was the real secret. Food was entertainment. The kitchen was a performance. Convenience was progress. And if it looked impressive in the center of the table, it counted. Today, we judge food differently. We want fresh, we want clean. We separate sweet from savory. So this feels strange. But back then, it was a little time capsule of hope. Hope that life could be easier. Hope that technology could help. Hope that a good sauce could make anything feel fancy. Now, the only question left is the one we care about today. Does it actually taste good? All right. We made it to the part that matters. Not the history, not the jokes, the proof. And we are doing this fair. No hate, no nostalgia goggles. 3 categories: smell, texture, taste. And I'm scoring it like a normal human, not like a comedian. First, smell. And you need to know this. The smell is not banana bread. It is not dessert. It is warm ham, first, salty, smoky. And then, right behind it, this soft, sweet note tries to sneak in. And your brain does a double take, because it cannot decide what shelf to put it on. And the sauce is the referee, buttery, rich, almost like brunch. So on smell alone. I hate to admit it. It is not as bad as it sounds. It is confusing, but not gross. Smell score: 6 out of 10. Now, texture. This is where old recipes either survive or collapse, because heat changes everything. The banana goes soft, almost custard soft. The ham tightens up around it, and that is a weird feeling. It is like a blanket that does not match the pillow. And the sauce on top makes it slippery. So the first bite is not clean. It slides, it mushes, and you feel it before you taste it. Texture score: 4 out of 10. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Taste. And I'm going to do this in real time. 1 bite, no editing tricks. Okay, here we go. Then, wow. The first second is salty and buttery, like ham at brunch. Then the banana shows up, and it is sweet, but not loud. More like a warm sugar note. And for a split second, it almost works. Like sweet and salty on purpose. Then your brain remembers, that is banana. And the spell breaks. And you start asking yourself, why is this familiar and wrong at the same time? So here is the honest verdict. It is not an edible. It is not a joke bite. It is just not something your modern taste buds are trained to want. If you grew up with this, I can see how it felt. Special, warm, rich, different. But today, it tastes like a rule got broken. Taste score: 5 out of 10. So total: smell 6, texture 4, taste 5. That puts it right in the danger zone. Not a hit, not a disaster. A time capsule. And now we can finally ask the next question. If it was only kinda good, why did so many people serve it like it was a flex? The plate got cleaner and stricter. Fruit moved to dessert. Meat stayed savory. And anything that crossed the line started to feel wrong. Especially bananas. Once your brain files banana as sweet comfort, ham on top reads like a mistake. Then the healthier a hit. Rich sauces, heavy cream, buttery toppings. What used to look fancy started to look like guilt. But the real finishing move was the internet. It didn't just dislike dishes like this. It turned them into memes. And once a recipe becomes a meme, it stops being dinner and becomes a dare. People stop asking, should I serve this? And start asking, should I film this? It didn't vanish because everyone hated it. It vanished because culture gave it a new job. It became comedy. And here's the weird part. Meme status doesn't kill a dish. It freezes it. It locks it to one emotion: cringe. So, it survives. As a story. Which leads to the next question. If it became a joke, why are we still talking about it right now? If you made it this far, congratulations. You just survived ham, bananas, and hollandaise. And that means your curiosity is stronger than your self-respect. Now, here's my final verdict. This dish is not evil. It is just aggressively confident. It tastes like the 1950s looked at your modern food rules and said, cute, watch this. And honestly, I kind of respect the audacity, because somebody served this to guests and kept eye contact. That is power. Now, let me ask you something. What's the ham and bananas of our era? The thing we eat right now like it's totally normal. That future people are going to screenshot as evidence. And if you already have one in mind, drop it in the comments. I want the full list because we are building a museum of food crimes. No violence, just emotional damage. And if you want more time capsule recipes, more real American kitchen weirdness, and more moments where I risk my taste buds for your entertainment, hit follow. Because next time, we are opening another recipe that should have stayed in the drawer. And I promise, it gets worse. Or better, depending on how brave you are.